Hello ladies. In 7G, it's just an extension of 7F. So we still use the regression line, but this time we're actually applying it to make predictions. So as I said in the previous video, the whole purpose of getting a regression line or a least squares regression line is to make predictions for the future. So the example I gave was, the current situation with COVID. We wouldn't just use regression analysis to predict what's happening with the virus, but we might also use it to predict what's going to happen in the future to the economy, to our health system, stuff like that. So we, in statistics, will often use regression analysis to predict what's going to happen because, as I said in the previous video, we don't just wake up and say, what's going to happen today? We kind of need to know what's going to happen. It's not like, you're reading tarot cards and you're a, fortune teller predicting what's going to happen. You're actually using statistics to model the relationship between two variables and to predict what's going to happen. Okay, so what have we got? The data below shows the times that 10 students spent studying for an exam and the marks they obtained. So here's your data. Here's a way of, okay, I just had to pause because my son was using the printer. You don't need to hear that. Okay, so where was I? So we've got an equation. So if we were to put this into our calculator, we would get our regression equation. So they've already done that for us. When we're using a regression equation, we just substitute in a value. So if we're looking at different times, so 0 hours, we would substitute in 0. Okay, and you can see they've done that here in the brackets. 8 hours, substitute it in, and so forth. So also it's talking about interpolation and extrapolation. So we kind of covered this at the start of the year. So extrapolation is going beyond the data set and interpolation is going within the data set. So we're kind of looking at time here. We're going from 1 hour, our data is going from time equals 1 to 36. So anything outside this time, we would be extrapolating. We would be going beyond the data set. So it's not as accurate as if we were interpolating, so looking within the data set, but sometimes we need to look beyond the data set. So having a look here, 0 hours would be extrapolation because we're looking at a data set that starts at 1. 8 is interpolation, so we're looking within the data set. So is 12 and so is 30, but if we wanted to look at 80 hours of studying, would be extrapolating. We're going well beyond the data set. And you can kind of see there you'd get a mark of 160%, which is impossible. Should only get out of 100. Okay, and that's what it talks about here, some of the limitations. So sometimes your predictions are limited by what is actually possible. So if you're looking at 80 hours, the student can't get 160, it's not possible. So that's when we would say, well, looking just down here, the maximum value is 36. Maximum hour they can spend with this data set is 36 hours. Okay, and you can read that to, if you want to. Okay, so interpolation is predicting within the range of data. Extrapolation is predicting outside the data set. Okay, and you can see there's a little graph there. All right, so let's have a look. Question 1, again, you're just talking about extrapolation or interpolation. So again, for question 2, so pretty straightforward, but you just need to substitute those values in. So straight substitution into the equation. So chapter 7G isn't too difficult, but let's do maybe one question just to check. All right, so let's get my Word document up. Delete what I just did before. All right, so for women of heights from 150 centimeters to 100 80 centimeters. The equation relating to daughter's height to her mother's height is, okay, so we've got daughter's height equals, so I'm just going to use D for daughter, equals 8.3 plus 0.91 times the mother's height. So we're going to predict for the daughter's height. So the mother is 168 centimeters tall. So we're just going to substitute that in. So the daughter's height is going to be 18.3 plus 0.91 times 168. And then you can plug that into your calculator. It does ask if you're doing interpolation or extrapolation. So 168 is within our data set. So we're only going from 150 to 180. For question B, though, it's 196 centimeters. So a pretty tall mother, but would be using extrapolation, okay, because we're outside the data set. All right, and I'm going to leave it there because I feel like you're going to be fine with this chapter, but if you need some help, please let me know.